Oh, hi. I'm Isbo Clairvaux for Lost Girl Video Guides, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Final Fantasy XIV's crafting system and get you started on your weaving career if you've decided that you're going to pursue that. Um, so to get started, I'll just let you know that I'm a bit of a trade skill slut. It doesn't matter what MMO game or any game that I've played. I've always been fascinated by crafting and the crafting systems. And so I was pretty stoked to see how Final Fantasy XIV would manage crafting. And wow, just wow. Crafting in Final Fantasy XIV isn't a side gig at all. It's a full meal deal that involves completely leveling another aspect of your character. It's like having a secondary job or third or fourth or fifth job, depending on how many crafts that you want to pick up. So one of the first things that I would tell you about is that because of that real total separation between, your primary class, what you've chosen. In my case, I'm a conjurer, and the crafting system, that it involves a completely different look, a completely different outfit, and a completely different approach to what it is that you're doing. So, for instance, I'm here in my conjurer outfit at the minute, and when I want to start crafting, I will open up my gear set and I will switch gear sets from my level 20 conjurer. I'll look at my weaving gal and I'll equip that set, and you will see that it exchanges my main hand weapon, which is normally a staff or a wand, and switches it over to the tool that I'll need when I'm doing my crafting, which in this case is a needle. So I'm also not just wearing any old gear. It's pretty snazzy, sexy gear, even though it's only level 5 gear. It's my crafting gear. It has very specific and particular stats that help you to craft more effectively and efficiently. So you're going to want to be changing your crafting gear on a regular basis and making sure that you have the most up-to-date crafting gear so that you're getting all those stat bonuses that you'll need to make sure that your crafting is as pleasant and as successful as possible. Anyways, we're here by the Aethernet shard in Ul'Dah, and I'll just open up my map so you can have a look at where we are. The crafting, the Weaver's Guild is in Ul'Dah. So if you weren't born in Ul'Dah, you're at a bit of a disadvantage if you want to be a weaver, because you're going to have to follow and progress your main quest chain until you get a quest that allows you to board the airship. And for me, that happened somewhere around, I think, level 16. And so it wasn't until I was level 16 that I was able to come across from Gridania to Ul'Dah on the airship. And yeah, so that was a big adventure in and of itself. Once I was over here, was able to find the, I'll just open this up a little bit more so you can see, able to find all of the crafting that exists in Ul'Dah. So, we have the Goldsmiths Guild, the Miners Guild, the Weavers Guild. Oh, I thought there was one more here. That might be it. Anyways, they're all here located sort of in a bit of a semicircle. And the Weaver's Guild is just down below us. So I'll take you down so you can see where that is. We just walk down here. You'll know you're on the right path because you'll see all these snazzy outfits on display. Yeah. And through these doors, and here we are, we're in the Weaver's Guild, and it's busy and kind of noisy, so I hope that won't be too distracting with the video. Over on the right-hand side, you will see a desk, looks sort of like a reception desk in a hotel. And just like when you first went to the Adventurers Guild, when you set your character up, you'll see the guild receptionist here, Moroni, and she will, for you, have a big exclamation mark over her head. You're going to want to click her, and she's going to ask you the quintessential question, are you sure you want to be a weaver? And you're going to say, yes, of course I'm sure. And she's going to say, super, how about I send you over to talk to the guild master? Now, the guild master is the redolent Rose, and he's just over here. And when you talk to him, he is going to, again, ask you, are you sure you want to be a weaver? And you're going to say, yeah, I'm sure. And he's going to gift you with your first needle, your first crafting needle. In order to be able to kick off your start as a weaver, you're going to actually have to equip the needle. So you're going to go in your armory chest. You'll look for your main hand weapon or crafting item of choice. You'll find your needle. You'll equip it, and the first thing you'll notice happen is that it will change you out of whatever outfit that you're in. So just like when I started the video, I was wearing my conjurer's gear. When I equipped my weaver's gear, I'm in a completely different gear set. So that's how you'll know that you're successful. You'll also be given a new logbook. So under your personal logs, if you look over here in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see personal logs. If you click it, you'll see crafting log. And when you open that, you'll see the weaver's crafting log. And he's going to start you off with a quest, which is really about making some basic materials that you're going to need for crafting. So he's going to say, you know what, I need you to make me some hempen yarn, and I'm going to need to see you make some undyed hempen cloth as well. And in order to do that, you're going to need some basic materials. You're going to need some Moko Grass, and you're going to need some lightning shards. But before I send you off to do that, I'm going to give you actually a big list so that we can get everything all at one time and you'll be ready to go. Because I spent heaps of time running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, buying mats. And if I would have known exactly what was required, I would have just done all my shopping up front and then sat down and done all my crafting. So I can talk to you a little bit about that. Now I've made a list here, a weaver supply list, levels 1 through 5. What you're going to need to buy is 202 Moko Grass, 9 leather, 4 animal sinew. And then you're going to need to have your shards as well. So let's just look at that again. You can see the shards are here. And for the recipe levels 1 through 5, you're going to need lightning shards and you're going to need wind shards as well for some of the recipes. So you're going to need 164 lightning shards plus some extras for mistakes, and I'll get back to that in a second, and 19 wind shards plus some extras, again, for mistakes. So there's your list, and on the bottom of this video, I'll write it there as well, just so that you have easy access to it. Now those shards, the lightning and wind shards, come from all sorts of different places. You pick them up when you're crafting, or when you're running fates, or when you're doing instance runs, or whatever you happen to be doing out in the wider world as an adventurer. You pick those shards up all the time. So far, I haven't run out of shards, but I do a lot of adventuring, and I've been doing lots of healing, so I've been in and out of guild levies, and been doing heaps of instancing as well, just to practice with my heal. So I had quite a good stack of them. But if you didn't have a big stack of them, there's a couple of different options. One, you can kind of grind them by doing more guild levies, or the little scenarios or instances, guild hests, I think that they call them, and you'll earn them that way. But you could also go and pick yourself up a mining pick and go and do a little bit of mining. That's right. You can pick up a pick and you'll be able to go out and basically farm shards, all different kinds of shards. And depending on the area where you are will determine what you're mining, I guess. So for instance, you can get lightning shards in central and southern Thanalin, and you can get wind shards in central or northern Thanalan. So there's a couple of options for you. I'm one of those quintessential crafters who don't believe that I should actually pay for anything that I can go out and get myself. So I have my mining pick. We are also going to need, in the next level of gear, we're going to need some copper ingots. So I reckon getting a mining pick and getting a start on that is pretty good common sense, because we'll have the copper ingots that we need, as well as a ready supply of shards for crafting. So that's just how I'm going to do it. You don't have to do it that way, but I will say to you that you can't buy the shards and you can't trade them. So, you know, one way or the other, you're going to get shards, and it's going to be through effort. And I guess you can just decide what you want that to look like. So back to your supply list: 202 Moko Grass, 9 leather, 4 animal sinew. You're going to want that 164 lightning shards, 19 wind shards, and what we're going to end up making here is 101 hempen yarn and 41 bolts of undyed hempen cloth. So we can buy our supplies right over here by Gigamutt, who's our guild supplier, and super easy. If you click on her, right click on her, she'll bring up a shopping list there for you. And you just need to select how many of the items you want. You can click the plus or minus sign here, but you can also just add it in, type it in. So there's 4 Moko Grass. I'll just show you how it goes. You'll buy it. You can see here that the price for the 4 is 8 gil. So it's 2 gil for 1 clump of Moko Grass. And that should give you an idea of how much this is going to cost you as well. And you're going to need some leather. And I'll just show you. So it's 8 gil for 1 piece of leather. And you're going to need some animal sinew. And that's coming in at 4 gil for 1 piece of animal sinew. So you're going to want to get that. When you've got all of your supplies, you know, going again back to this, your 202 Moko Grass, your 9 leather, and your 4 animal sinew, then you'll be set up and you'll be ready to just sit down and start crafting. So once you got your gear, you just need to find yourself a little bit of a clear space. Every time I've been in here and I've been up, I was up extremely late last night. I don't know, I was crafting at 2 o'clock in the morning. And this place was still just hoppy busy, just really, really super busy. Lots of people here, lots of crafting happening. And I think that's a good sign, because it tells me that people are interested in the crafting in Final Fantasy XIV, and that they're sitting down and they're doing it. So super. But anyways, find yourself a spot where you won't be bothered or interrupted, and then open up your crafting log again. And if you have a look, what you'll see is the recipes here are over on the left-hand side. And we're going to be looking at the recipes for level 1 to 5. And for my own purposes of being a little bit of a perfectionist, a little bit of a achievement whore, and just really wanting to, you know, explore the whole system, I made the decision that I'm just going to make everything that's in the list, so that I've activated all of the recipes. So that's how I'm doing it. You don't have to do it that way, but that's how I've accounted for the materials, and you know, yeah, and just how I've progressed through it. So like I said, you've got your materials now, and what we're going to start doing is we're going to make 101 hempen yarn. So if you click the hempen yarn, it will tell you what your materials are. You need lightning shards, and you need Moko Grass, and what it gives you is an option here on the lower right hand side for synthesize. Now if you click synthesize, you'll get a little panel, and it'll come up over here, hempen yarn. And what you're going to do is, it's mine is key bound to the number 1 key. You're going to want to click the synthesis, but there's going to be a few things happening here. The durability is going to go down every couple of seconds, and you have until it'll go 40, 30, 20, 10, and if you don't complete the task by the time that the timer's done, then you get a fail. So you're not a non-successful synthesis, I guess. Also, the other not so fun thing that can happen is that you can blow off one of your shards, your lightning or your wind shards. Now, so far, I don't think it's actually interfered or made me lose any of my other mats. Like I wouldn't have lost the Moko Grass, for instance, but I would have lost the shard. So I haven't said that you should go and buy any extra crafting supplies, but just be aware that what I said in terms of the lightning shards and the wind shards, you might need a little bit more. So when you click your number 1 or whatever you've got it key bound to, see, there she goes. She started, but I've been practicing. So, you know, progress, piece of cake, no problem. Then we'll want to do another one, synthesize again, click my number 1. There she goes. Oh, and you'll notice that she wasn't successful that time. And so she blew off one of the lightning shards. Now you're going to want to sit there and do that until you have 101 yarn. And then we're going to go to the next one, which is the undyed hempen cloth. And we're going to go start making some of that. And we're going to want 41 bolts of that. And you can see it's asking you for 2 hempen yarn and again another lightning shard. Do the same thing again. Click synthesis. Click your first one. We'll see our progress. There you go. First go round for me. And so you're going to want to sit there, synthesize, do it, synthesize, do it, synthesize, do it until you have 41 bolts. Now you're going to have some extra yarn left over because some of the recipes are calling for, say, you know, the cloth as well as another hempen yarns. But you'll have plenty because you have all of your supplies and all of your decks already lined up because we're just that clever. Redolent Rose is going to want to check you out when you've done, I think, your first yarn and your first undyed hempen cloth. And then he's going to say, have at it. I don't want to see you again until level 5. I think there's one more quest in there as well, and I'll just talk about that for a quick second as well. In the crafting log, what I did, so I made my 101 yarn and then my 41 bolts of cloth, and then everything else on this list, there's 19 recipes, I made one of, except for the level 4 hempen breeches, because the Guildmaster is going to actually ask you to make 3 pairs of those for the quest. So one of everything except the hempen breeches, which you're going to want to make 3 of. And that'll take you through to the end of your recipes level 1 through 5. And by the time I actually finished doing all of that crafting, I was at level 8, I think, is where I am right now. And so I'm just heading through the next set of crafting to get to the end of my next recipes. But that's a subject for another video. So by the time you finish with this video, you will be well on your way to weaving. You know, you should be somewhere around where I'm at, somewhere between level 5 and level 8, let's say. You'll have finished all of the level 1 through 5 crafting gear that you're able to make as a weaver, and you'll be ready to head into your next set, level 6 to 10 gear. And that's a subject for another video. And in between now and then, I hope that weaving is kind to you and that you really enjoy the crafting. I'm loving it so far, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.